Welcome, 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 my lovelies. Welcome back. Ooh, let me get comfortable. Ooh, welcome back. The sun has just started to come out, which is very nice to see, although it does feel very cold. First of all, cheers, because the commission piece that I'm making is indeed for Debbie. Hello there, Debbie, again. So Deborah, she asked me if I would make a fire surround to go around a little firebox that she has to go in one of her houses. She'd asked about it, so I says, we'll make one. So we've got this as a commission, which is fantastic. So I shall bring the camera down and I'll just show you where I am with it. I've started already so that we've got something to look at the beginning of the video, but I'll describe to you how I've gone about it. What I did do, because I know Deborah's taste and style of housing, some of it's eclectic. There's no major themes, which is brilliant because then you can sort of put what you want in, which I love that kind of thing. If you stick to a certain period like the Art Deco house, then you have to look for that sort of thing to keep it going. But in some houses you can just put what you want in. So she says she'd let me sort of suggest things. So I've suggested a fire surround, but a cream colour, because I know cream would go well in her houses, and it's a nice taste to have, like in American style dollhouses. The cream colours seem to go well, and I'm going to put a natural piece of wood along the top, but a nice piece of wood to finish it off and just to give the contrast. So I showed her a drawing of a style that I thought of, which she said, great, go ahead, that's brilliant, and we'll go from there. But let me bring the camera down and I'll show you how I've gone about putting this together. Oh, lovely warm cup of tea. Right, I've got my mug warmer on to keep my tea warm. Hurrah! So, okay, now, these, if you can see here, these are some of the pieces. They're not all the finished pieces, so I've still got more to add to it, but these are sort of the main building blocks of what I've designed. What I did to first of all, to get the size of it and the shape of it, you need to work out the opening of where the firebox is going to go, or the little fire that you can get, the little fires, the little boxes of metal with the coals in. Now the one that Deborah has, it's just this is a mock-up of it. What I got her to do was to measure, send me photographs and lay a measuring tape on, and to give me exact measurements of the box that she has, that she wants the fire surround built around. So the firebox that she has is 2 centimeters deep all around. It's made out of wood. It's all black, and it's got a black wall to it, so this is covered in at the back. I don't have to do that because I just want the area. I don't have to actually make it, if you know what I mean. But it's got a wooden back to it. It's all painted black, the whole thing, and it's got fixed coals inside and a cable going out the back, and it lights up. So it's a nice glowing fire when it's alight. So I've got these exact measurements, and I've just cut some rough bits of wood just to give me that shape, because I don't have it with me, and it would cost a lot more for Deborah to send the item through the post, for me to then work on it, and all I'm going to be doing is measuring it and then making this. So as long as I've got the measurements, I can do it without the actual physical box. So first up, the bit that the fire goes into, that's the bit that I want to start off with my measurements. So what I've done is make sure that this is, when I hold this up, it's about about a millimetre or so, probably 2 millimetres at least, on the sides and on the top. So you can see it's sort of loose fitting in there, but it does slide in and take up most of the space. So there's hardly any space around left, which is fine. And we know that it's this deep. So I'm going to build the fire surround so it's slightly deeper than this, so it fits in nicely without any problems. So I'll put this over here just now. Now you can see I've started painting some of the pieces. For the bits that I'm using later on, I've just written keywords so I know where they're going to go in the build. That's just to remind me. Otherwise you've got blank bits of wood and you pick them up when you get to it and think, no, what was going to go where? So that's just to do that to start with. I didn't bother doing that with these bits because I'm going to cover these in paint, or I am painting these anyway. So once they're painted, they're going to not have words written on them. These bits I'm going to glue in without painting on them because they're not going to be painted. And also this piece here. So I'll put those aside at the moment. And what I've done here, this is the base of the hearth. So the whole thing's going to sit on here, like so. What I've done is just rounded the edges of this on the sides, on the ends and along the front there. Not the back, that's going to sit against the wall. So I've just rounded those off just to give it a finished shape instead of just looking like blocks of wood, which I didn't want around the hearth. So that's that done. Then what I did was to sand the pieces, wipe them off, then give them a thin coat of paint, let that dry, sand them, give them another coat of paint, let them dry, sand them, and they've now had a third coat of paint and I've sanded them again so they feel nice and smooth. The whole thing feels nice and smooth. And what I'm going to do now, because some of these pieces, this piece isn't and this piece isn't, but these pieces are going to be seen from both sides. So I'm going to paint them. So the design I've made I just thought would look really cool in Deborah's type of house, and it's going to have the surround is going to have little shelves on each side at the whole, so it's going to be a one whole unit but with shelving on each side, which I think will look really cool. I mean, in that shelving you put what you want. You could put I think some books in some of it would look nice. Sand them, paint them again, blow dry, sand again, paint them again. So come back to me when this bit's done and then we can start gluing bits together. Now, I just wanted to say about sanding. Once I've blow dried these bits, which I have, I'm using a 1200 grit sandpaper, which is very smooth. There's not much grit to it at all. In fact, let me show you that's an 80, and as you can see that's much rougher. So the lower the number, the sharper the grit, the higher number, the smoother. The reason I am sanding them and then painting them again is basically because you get a better finish when you finished it, and it just looks more professional looking. But the reason why it happens is when you put the paint on and it's wet, because the paint is wet, the fibres in the grains, they all stand up. Like when I'm cold, the hairs on my arms stand up. So they do that. It loosens the fibres and they raise up like so. So all you're doing is sanding those bits off. But if you can't, obviously you can't feel it on video, but if you paint a piece of the wood and just feel it with your finger, and you can feel how smooth or how rough it is. If you use a fine bit of paper like this, and really in between coats, that's all it takes. Doesn't take much at all. And you do that, and it just feels completely smooth and silky compared to that feels quite rough, and that feels like it hasn't been painted basically. But that's all it takes to make your pieces, give your pieces a more finished feel. And also the reason I'm painting the pieces first before I actually make it is because once it's made, it's going to have a lot of little shelving units going in to the depth of the back of it, and to get a brush in and paint everything, you can't then sand it in there and paint it again, so it would be very, very awkward. Can be done, but it just wouldn't give you a good enough or a nicer finish. So I'm painting all the pieces before I assemble them, and that way I know that it's going to go together well. Okay, now let's begin constructing the design. So I've got all the painted pieces here. These bits aren't painted because they're not going to be seen when it's finished, but they're just internal structure. And so I know what they are when I come to them. I wrote on them just keywords so I know where they're going to go when they're put together. So I'm using a Gorilla wood glue. When it dries nice and firm and sturdy, and it's just a good wood glue to use. So now I just want that to line up with the hole inside that I've cut there, so these walls are flush with the outside opening. Once it's dry, I can sand the joins, the edges, just to make sure they're nice and flat. But we are actually going to cover them up anyway once this has been built. Okay, I've got the sort of outer sections glued upright as well, and I've just put the squares each side of them, and I've set in them with the set squares so I know it's all at right angles. So I'll really now let that completely dry before we start adding the side sections on. Okay, so it's got dark outside, as you can see, and the reflection in the window was distracting. But Nigel's in the house and he's decided to play with the string from the cords from the blinds. Anyway, moving on. That's the inside structure finish that's going to be hidden. You won't see that. And before I join all the rest of the sides on, I'm going to decorate a bit of the front. I'll glue that into place and I'll press that down to make sure that's nice and fixed, and then we'll cut the side bits to fit in and round and join the whole thing up. I'll put this here. So if I can show you, the paper has, obviously that's dried overnight, and I've joined it all up so it looks very neat, and it goes down onto the insides as well. As I said, that probably won't really be seen once the fire box is in there. You'll only see the front of it and going just the edge bit there. So, but I know it's done, and then if it's ever taken out, Jersey Girl might want to make a different fireplace and put that in, so that will still be all finished. So that will be nice. So, and I haven't papered out to the edge here, because I'm going to put some edging on. So I've cut pieces of floorboard, ready-made floorboard strips, and I've painted those again with the 3 coats of paint, sanded them in between so they're nice and smooth. And now I'm just going to stick those in place just to finish off the trim around the edge of the brickwork. I'm just going to place this carefully onto the edge and stand it up. So I want that line flat to the base, and I want it flush with this side. Now, actually what I will do is just put a weight on that. Let's put these back in here, and close that. Now, that's all in line, so I'm just going to put this weight carefully on there. That's nice and heavy. I'll give that half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour. Make sure that that's dry, and then we'll carry on from there. Hurrah! Now I'm adding the shelving units to the sides, and they're dry now, so I'm going to add the side panel on this side. I'm taking them very easy and not trying to do it all in one go, because if they slightly tilt or offset, then once it's dry with this wood glue, then it's difficult to repair or to alter. There we are, like so. And put this down, hold this tight. Oops. And then offer those up to the shelves. Like so. Just look at that from above. I can see that this is all straight along here, which is what we want. And then whatever it's doing up there, there's the height it should be, because I've measured it. Hopefully measured it correctly. Now this bit isn't painted because it's not going to be seen. Well, one thin edge is going to be seen, but that will be painted along the front there when it's in place. Like so. And I can put a little bit around the top here of the chimney breast area. There we are. And then to hold that in place, I can just place some of these magnets around the outsides. Good. Okay, so I'll leave that now, definitely give that half an hour, and then come back to it. I'm just adding more trim onto the front to give it more dimension. Sometimes less is more, sometimes more is more. But I'm doing very plain trim, so it's not really fancy. It's just it will just add a little bit more class to it. There we are. And those diagonals that I've cut there line up perfectly. I will paint over them slightly just to cover them over a little bit, but I will now put a weight on there again. There we are, and leave those to dry, and then I can paint over the joins and then put the rest together. Right, now so the fireplace is coming on now. I've got the top to put on, and I've got some more decoration to put around the top edge as well, and then it will be finished. I've put the backing piece on, and I've painted that the same colour as the rest of the wood, so it shows through. I haven't painted it on the back side. It's going to go against a wall anyway. But what I was going to say as well, painting a piece of wood this wide and thin, when you do paint it, the wood does bow up because of the moisture sucks into the wood, and you have to try and flatten it down to get it flat again. But as I said before, the best way to do that is I watered down some PVA glue, quite watery, and then I painted this side, painted the other side straight away. If you paint one side, obviously that's wet and that will start bowing. So I just painted both sides and just leaned it up against a bottle, so it wasn't touching anything, and it dried. It kept the tension on both sides of the wood, so it kept it flat. Just a little tip. Some people may or may not know, and someone may have been happy to hear that tip. And then once it was dry, then you can paint it, and of course it's sealed then with the PVA, so it doesn't bow up then. So that's that done. Now for the mantelpiece on the top, I have got a lovely, well, it was a bigger piece and I've cut it from a bigger piece, but a lovely thick piece of mahogany wood. It's a lovely mahogany. It's just a brown mahogany, and I've just sanded the front 3 edges very lightly, not a huge chamfer on them, but just took the edge off it, so it's not completely sharp, like a sort of piece of wood. It looks like a worked piece of wood, and I'm going to put that on the top of the fireplace. But I'm going to treat it first of all, just because it will enrich it and make it nicer. I'm going to treat it with some boiled linseed oil. That's from the Furniture Clinic, but you can get all different brands, different makes. Ones in Canada, the US, in Europe, they might be different makes, different names. But it's a boiled linseed oil. The reason I'm using boiled linseed oil is because it's linseed oil that's been treated by heat, as it obviously boiled. So when the linseed oil is heat treated, it accelerates the drying process when you put it on. So it can be dry within 20 minutes easily. With natural linseed oil, it soaks into the wood and there's nothing, it hasn't been treated, so it doesn't dry, and it takes a lot longer to dry. So it does exactly the same job, but much quicker. So if let me just bring this over here, just a piece of paper. I'll bring the camera down. I'm just going to paint it like so. I wonder, with the sun coming in, let me pull the blind down for you. Now there's still a bit of sun coming in, as you can see here, but it's coming in from the door and there aren't any blinds on the doors, so I'll position myself around a bit to try and block the light so it's easier for you to see. You can put this on, actually I'll use a bit of tissue. I was going to say you can use a brush to paint linseed oil on. Put that there. And I'm just going to paint this on and then just get it half an hour, 20 minutes, 20-25 minutes. And then once I've done that and left it 20 minutes, then I'll wipe it straight away, just to wipe off any excess. If you just paint it on and leave it, any excess that hasn't soaked in dries more sticky, and it forms it makes it sort of more lumpy, and it smells beautiful. I hold that up and you can see the difference. And when it is dry, it will leave a slight sheen on it, which is really nice. And once it's dry, you can sort of buff it up as well. It will help protect the wood over years, which is obviously a good thing. Right, okay. I shall time that for 20 minutes. Okay, and move it. Let me move it over here and bring this forward. Now I'm going to put a bit of trim around here. It's a shaped trim. It's not fancy, but just fairly plain lines. but it just adds a little bit more contour around the top area. So I need this saw. Now I'm actually haven't got to move over a bit so the sun will come in, because I'm left-handed, so I need to sit to use my left hand. So yes, so I'm going to put this on. I'm just cutting it like I'm doing cornicing or skirting boards or whatever. I'm doing it the same way, keeping the piece upright and cutting the angles that I want from the top, not laying it down. Then it just won't work, it will be completely wrong. But I have done that on other videos, showing how to cut cornicing and skirting boards and things. So actually I want one bit going this way, so that will be from the corner there, and then I'll measure it to go along there. Like so, and then let me measure exactly from edge to edge. So I am extremely pleased with the effects of this fireplace. Here we have the lovely sheen on the brown mahogany. One of my client's stipulations, I'm saying my client, you all know who I'm talking about, a lovely Joycey girl, and one of her stipulations was she didn't want the red cherry wood, which is very red coloured wood. So I've used a brown mahogany wood. Cherry wood is specifically a wood, and it's very, very red. But this dark brown mahogany is absolutely beautiful finish for this fireplace, and it's got the nice detail around the underneath the mantelpiece, the mantelpiece there. So let me just put it down and I'll show you properly. And if I'll zoom in a bit so you can see, oops, wrong way. There we are. So once what I will do is drill a small hole in the back wall there, but first of all I need to ask Deborah where the cable comes out of the light box. Does it come out in the middle or does it come out to one side? And then I'll drill the hole accordingly. I would guess it was coming out the middle. I can't imagine it not, but you just don't know. Although this is a solid back here with the cable coming out, so she could, I could drill a hole and then she could drill another one, and it won't show because this is going to go in front anyway. But I just want to say that I've made it just deep enough that she can either push the light box in flush with the front of the wall, so you just see the bricks surrounding the light box, and it's just got it will have a black edge around it there, or she can push it to the back as far as it will go, and then you'll just see a little edging of the bricks going in there each side. So that would be quite a nice look, I think. But it will be completely up to the owner when it arrives. Hurrah! Okay, that's a wrap, as they say. I hope you enjoyed the video, as always, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the fireplace and the been designed and built. Very, very, very happy with it. And I'm sure Joyzy Girl will be just as happy with it too. It would be nice in those little shelves maybe to put some books in some of them, laying down and standing up, and maybe a little vase or something, or anything that she wants to put in there basically. Or you can leave them blank just as a feature on their own. You can do exactly what you want. Anyway, thank you everybody. Speak to you again very, very soon. I've got another video coming up. Well, I'll be beginning one straight after this one, so that should be on shortly after this video. Take care everybody. Nice to speak to you. Keep well and try and keep warm. Bye.